A very good morning. Myself, Shruthi Prakash. I head the Department of Microbiology at SBRR MAHAJANA First Grade College. Today, I'll be discussing the contributions of Robert Koch. In this context, microbiology is the branch of science which mainly deals with the study of microorganisms. The history of microbiology may be classified into three different phases, namely discovery phase. The second phase is called as transition phase, and the third phase is called as the golden age. During the first phase, that is the discovery phase, the microorganisms were discovered, and mainly the observation of the microorganisms and its descriptions were actually followed by most of the scientists. And some of the scientists, such as Marcelo Malpighi as well as Anton van Leeuwenhoek, contributed towards the discovery phase. Whereas during the transition phase, which is usually called as the developmental period of microbiology, wherein in this particular phase, some of the notable scientists like Lazzaro Spallanzani, John Needham, contributed towards the transition phase of microbiology. The third phase of microbiology is called as the golden age or the golden era of microbiology, wherein it began in the year 1860, and it was mainly dominated by some of the notable scientists like Louis Pasteur, Robert Koch, Joseph Lister, and many more. So in this contest, now we shall discuss some of the contributions of Robert Koch. Heinrich Hermann Robert Koch was born in the year 1843. He was a German physician and microbiologist who showed that the anthrax disease of animals was caused by a spore-forming bacterium called as Bacillus anthracis. Robert Koch also proposed the germ theory of diseases, which means microbes cause diseases. Koch, in order to find out the cause of the anthrax disease, initially he performed an experiment wherein he actually collected the blood sample from a dead sheep and he injected that into a healthy laboratory mouse. which actually resulted in the death of the mouse. Again, he collected the blood sample from the dead mouse and he injected that into a healthy mouse, which again resulted in the death of the mouse. He repeated this experiment nearly for about 20 times, and each time the result was same, which resulted in the death of the mouse. Finally, Robert Koch examined the blood sample of the dead mouse, which actually revealed the presence of bacilli, that is Bacillus anthracis. So in order to confirm any microbe as the cause of any disease, Koch actually summarized an experimental method in a set of rules which is popularly called as the Koch postulates. According to the Koch postulate, if any microbe has to be considered as a causative agent of any disease, it should satisfy the following conditions, such as the suspected microorganism must be present only in the infected individuals, and it should be absent in all the healthy individuals. The second postulate states that the suspected microbe must be isolated from the infected individual and it should be grown into a pure culture. The third postulate states that the cultured microbe must cause the same disease and symptom while it is injected into another healthy individual. The fourth postulate states that the microbe must be re-isolated from the diseased experimental host and it should be identical to the original causal organism. But the Koch postulates were not accepted due to the following reasons, wherein there were certain exceptions to the Koch postulates. Koch postulates were not accepted, it is because some of the causal organisms like Treponema pallidum, the causative agent of sexually transmitted disease, that is syphilis, can never be cultured on an artificial media. In the same manner, Mycobacterium leprae, the causal organism of leprosy, can never be cultured on an artificial manner. Similarly, Rickettsia and other viral pathogens can never be cultivated on artificial media, and hence some of the above findings entailed some modifications to the Koch postulates. But anyhow, Koch has also contributed to the field of microbiology in the following way. So now let's discuss some of the other contributions of Robert Koch. Apart from identifying the causal organism of the anthrax disease, that is Bacillus anthracis, he was also the first person to identify the causal organism of tuberculosis, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. He was also the first person to discover Vibrio cholerae, a comma-shaped bacteria, and it is the causal organism of cholera, which was first discovered by Robert Koch. Robert Koch also developed solid media and the plate method to isolate the pure cultures of microorganisms. He also developed certain techniques to transfer bacteria onto the artificial media, and he also developed certain techniques in order to enumerate bacterial colonies and he was also the first person to smear bacteria using glass slides and its staining utilizing aniline dye. Robert Koch also showed that certain living and parasitic organisms cause infectious diseases in other organisms. For all his notable contributions, he received the Nobel Prize in the year 1905 in the field of medicine and physiology. Thank you.